go? Oh boy. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I just want to do a little teeny tiny bite-sized project. So I made a little itty bitty bone fairy diorama thing. And if you want to see how I did it, stay tuned. Let's hop right into it. So for this project, I'm using this Winter Stable Posable Friends doll, which I found at Five Below, and this little plastic cloche that my buddy Anna got me forever ago. It took me a while to find a doll small enough to fit inside. As you can see, this little girl is only 5 inches tall, which is perfectly average. I'm so sorry. Anyway. Even so, it turned out that 5 inches was still too big for that tiny little cloche. So I'm carving out the back of her leg because I want her to be in a sort of kneeled position because she's just too tall to stand up in there. So I tried for a while to get her legs to be able to bend in the position that I want, but as you can see, what has happened instead is I have snapped her legs completely off. So we kind of had to pivot a little bit. So here I'm trying to remove the best I can the remaining little like plastic bits, you know, the little hook bits inside the leg joints. I'm trying to get those out. And I'm cutting off the back lip of her boots so that when she goes to be in a seated position, her legs can be flush against the backs of her thighs. And then my original idea was I was going to take this jewelry wire and I was going to insert it into the sort of empty leg cavity using some super glue. And as I try to do that, I discovered that my super glue was entirely hardened. So I just don't have super glue anymore. I need to get some more. So I was like, okay, let's pivot. We'll just use hot glue and glue this little wire bit in there. And then I'll use that as sort of like an armature to attach to the other leg. This is a useless step. Everything you're seeing me do right now, I'm trying so hard to be good, to be like, ooh, I'm going to reinforce it with some wire. Girl, this does not work. So I trim the wire down, I try to bend it into shape and attempt to fasten the slot it in to the other part of it. Here's the thing, using hot glue is just not secure enough for this method to work. I just yanked the hot glue out of the hollow of her leg and it did quite actually nothing. So if you're doing this very specific thing, you could skip the wire or use super glue because then it'll be stable enough to make it worth it. I just glued her legs. To the backs of her legs and called it a day. Once I got those all glued down and reinforced, I also glued her hips in place to kind of solidify the position she would be stuck in. Once her legs are all glued in place, I go ahead and start removing her face with 100% acetone. I'm using a Q-tip this time just because, I don't know, her face is so small. I was afraid that I was going to just get it everywhere if I used a cotton ball. Once her face is all removed, I go ahead and start her face up and give her these black scleras for now. And then I pretty promptly put that to the side and start darkening her hair. I just thought her original hair color was just too bright pink, and I didn't want to just cut it off and give her new hair because I really liked how her hair is. I just wanted to dull it down a little bit. So I'm using some watered down acrylic paint and just rubbing that into her hair. I feel like this worked just fine. Because she's going to be a stationary figure, who cares if there's paint in her hair? You know? Oh, her leg fell off. That's funny. I'll fix that later. But yeah, I found this worked just fine. And I don't know if there's many applications where doing this method would work very well. But in this particular case, I think it came out good. Came out good. Really was choking on that one. Once her hair is in a place that I'm happy with, I go ahead and get back into her face up with some purple irises. I just thought they were cute, and all my other sort of whimsical creatures of this nature that I've made, I've always given black scleras. I think they're really cool, and these like kind of more bright lavender pupils kind of pierce out of them in a way that I think is really cute. And I'm giving her some purple eyebrows. They don't quite match her hair. Like when I put down like the first layer, it has like a pinkishness to it that sort of goes, but then as I build the layers up, it's a very cool toned purple versus the very warm toned purple of her hair. So if that bothers you, I'm sorry. They're so small you could hardly notice, right? And then for her lips, I went in with this very, very dark purple, nearly black color to sort of, I don't know, I feel like it balanced her face out to have a very dark lip. And here's another potentially useless step. I decided to go ahead and blush her face the way I typically do, but the material that this head is made out of just like did not grip onto the chalk pastels very well. And as we well know, I don't use Mr. Super Clear, so I just rely on the sort of grip ability of the vinyl heads to do the little bits of blushing that I do. And so I don't know. I still did it, and I feel like maybe it did something, but I don't know. Sometimes I just be doing stuff. Once I'm done with my scant amount of blushing, I just go ahead and add her catch lights and call it a day. Once her face is done, I go ahead and get into the little environment that she's going to be in. So I have all these little fairy garden miniatures that I think were also a gift from my buddy Anna. I don't remember. If I'm wrong, she will message me about it later. But I kind of try out different things to see what fits, with her on this little stand. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and say, we're stretching what it means to be a fairy in this video, okay? By the time this is all done and everything is glued down and I get her on her little stand, she's not going to have wings. And I'm so sorry. I really want her to have wings, but once everything is said and done, there's just not space for it. And so I don't know fairy rules. I don't know if there are fairies that don't have wings. She's a fae. Not all fae have wings, because the fae from those naughty books that people read don't always have wings, right? She's not one of those. But I'm just saying there's lots of different ways to be a fairy. And I recorded my intro before I did the project, and so if I had known that by the end she wasn't going to have wings, I might have phrased things a little bit differently, okay? She is a bone collecting forest spirit. That really sounds like, when you go to Spirit Halloween and they try to make things sound like legally vague, where it's like, yes, young boy wizard. Because they're trying to get around copyright or whatever. That's what that sounds like. Legally, I don't know if I can call her a fairy, but I can call her a macabre forest spirit that collects your bones. Oh, what would be cute actually? So I don't know if you guys remember my dollar store doll sculpture video, but in that video I made this graveyard guardian nature spirit kind of lady, and it'd be really fun if this character was her daughter, or something like that. Like her mom protects the graveyards and helps usher the spirits of the dead there, and her daughter has a similar role. She's learning how to be that, and then one day she'll get her bone wings and become the next guardian of the dead or whatever. That'd be cute. If you guys haven't seen my dollar store doll sculpture video, I'll go ahead and put that in the description because it's a fun video and you should watch it. So I haven't been talking too much about my process because I've just been gluing things down, but here I'm going over everything with some watered down like brown black paint to help kind of dull everything a bit and kind of make it all look a little bit more cohesive, because this very bright environment doesn't really make sense for the character. I'm also going over these flowers with some purplish paint. I'll also be going in with some blue here in a bit, I think. This is just to sort of tie the background in with her color scheme. And as you can see, I'm doing it like kind of messily because I want this to sort of fade into the background, so I'm not too concerned with it looking like super neat and tidy. I paint this little lantern blue as well, and I go in with a lighter color in the center to give the illusion that it's kind of illuminated. And I just repeat that step on all the sides that are visible. And then I go in with some black paint to just clean up the sort of metal frame part of the lamp. And here's where I notice that I miss a side, and don't worry, I'll take care of it. I touch up the paint some more later, but for now I'm going in with some matte Mod Podge on a brush, and I'm just kind of smushing that around into various bits and crevices. And once I have that, I go in with this blue butterfly tea that my mom gave me a bunch of, and I just dump it everywhere to help sort of fill in the gaps and add some more variation to the sort of vegetation and terrain. I felt bad because I wasn't really a big fan of this tea, but I didn't want it to go to waste, so it's just craft supplies now. Now we're gonna get back to working on our girlies, so I'm painting her boots white. You won't really be able to see very much of them, but for the little bits that you can see, I want them to sort of match her outfit. Actually, making her outfit was kind of an interesting process because I don't think I've made an outfit for an already posed figure before, so I had to sort of like glue things on and around in a way that made sense for how her body was already seated. And so I'm taking these little strips of black fabric to make a sort of underskirt. You won't be seeing much of this, but it's an important step for later, I think. And I did the underskirt in strips like this to make it easier to sort of place each individual piece and get it to go exactly where I want it to. Because I feel like if I did this all as one singular strip, it would have been much more difficult to do that. I also went ahead and painted her legs black because in the event any parts of her leg ended up exposed, I want to make sure it wouldn't stand out as much as it would if it was this bright teal color. For her dress, I took this bit of lace and I'm just cutting out a chunk of it, and I realized that the sort of flower pattern was kind of like the perfect shape for her body, so I'm just kind of cutting around the flower design and holding it up, and I cut 2 little slits in the top part for her arms to go, and I'm able to just sort of wrap it around her body, and we end up with this really cute dress shape. And I just put another strip in the back to cover up her butt, and like, there we go. Like, that's the main part of her dress. And then on top of that, I took this black fringe trim and I'm just turning it into this like shoulder mantle thing, so they just drape down her body, because I feel like it looked really cool and regal. Like, it has this like priestess feel that I think really works for her vibe. And I took just an extra piece of the fringe and I'm tying it around her waist just to add some delineation between her bodice and her skirt bit. And then I'm taking the hands from the skeleton and I'm using them as like a headpiece. Like, I don't know, I just think it looks cool. And because I don't want her base dress to be this like blinding white, I'm taking some more of that blue butterfly tea and I'm keeping it in the bag this time. And I've just wet it a bit. I go back and I use some hot water to maybe like help this effect. But I just take the tea bag and I like just kind of dab it all over her dress to help mute the color a little bit. And I'm going over that with some very watered down brown paint. And the reason why I didn't just do one or the other is because the blue butterfly tea has this like beautiful blue like tinge to it. And I feel like that mixed with the sort of like warm brown helps like temper how warm the color is a little bit and give it more of that bone-esque vibe, because I want her dress to have like a bony, you know, she's a bone. Her whole thing is bone, so her dress is also gonna be bones, you know? Once her outfit is done, I place her in her little environment and prepare for her the little skull that she's going to be holding, because that was really my whole vision. Is I want her to be like knelt in this little forest environment, holding up this skull and like looking at it lovingly, you know? And so I'm harvesting this from the same little Dollar Tree skeleton that I got her little hands for a headdress from. And I'm just kind of cleaning that up a little bit, you know, cutting off the seams, smoothing it down. And then I go ahead and place it in her hands. This is another thing that it'd probably be better to use super glue for, because it'd be like a stronger hold and less noticeable, but I just went ahead and used hot glue because once she's like inside her little cloche, like you're not really gonna notice, you're not gonna see it. After making sure she fits well in her cloche, I go ahead and glue her down, and then I just use some glass cleaner to clean up the lid because it's been sitting around for a while. And while I'm cleaning this up, I'll take a quick moment to say that if you watched this far and you liked this video, consider liking it. It really helps me out a lot. And if you want to see more things from me, consider subscribing. I have a lot of fun things planned, including a Valentine's Day video that I think you'll be really interested in, so you don't want to miss it. I just need to get her lid on, and with that, she's complete. And here are the final results. You know what I'm gonna say. I think she came out really cute. It's really hard to photograph her with her lid on, but I don't know. I just think it really pulls it all together, and she looks really cute on my shelf, and it's almost exactly what I want her to be. Obviously, I want her to have wings, but we can't have everything in this life. So hopefully you guys like her. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but mostly if you're nice to me, please be nice to me. I cry very easily. All right, that's it for this video. I hope to see you all next time. Love you, bye!